an Amazon FBA or merchant fulfilled seller, adding a replenishable item to your inventory of course is great for your business, but things can get a little confusing when you need to know when to replenish and how to account for the income and expenses that come along with replenishment. In this video, we'll be looking at MSKUs you already have in your inventory and how to account for your out-of-pocket expenses when the quantities of replenishables were purchased at a different cost per unit amount, and how you can avoid stockouts by using your velocity report. We'll start by selecting FBA from the inventory menu, but I should mention that the steps you'll take to account for quantities with multiple buy costs in your merchant fulfilled inventory are exactly the same. The FBA or merchant inventory page gives an overview of the items that make up your inventory, but to view or update the details of a specific item, either click on the MSKU or in any blank area of that item's line. We can see that this item has been replenished 3 times, and each time new quantities were listed, added to a batch, and shipped to an Amazon fulfillment center, InventoryLab created a new replenishment row. We can also see that each time the quantities were listed with the same cost per unit, purchase date, and supplier. But let's look at the most recent date this item was replenished. If I had gotten a better deal from a different supplier and on a different day, I would have entered those accounting details while listing this new quantity of 10, and the row would look like this. As the quantities sell, InventoryLab will apply the first in, first out accounting method. This means that as the remaining quantities in the first row and the second row are sold, InventoryLab will account for my buy cost of $1.05 in each sale. Once those remaining quantities are depleted, the next cost per unit amount in Q will be the cost per unit amount accounted for in the sale. But what if you've paid multiple buy costs for quantities of an MSKU that weren't listed in InventoryLab? Instead of having multiple rows, the MSKU's detail page will probably look like this. Since the goal is to account for multiple buy costs of the MSKU's quantities, instead of a single row, you want to have a separate row for each time the accounting details have changed. To do this in InventoryLab, you'll want to add a replenishment row to account for the different costs. In this example, the cost per unit amount for the initial quantity of 12 is $6.35. But let's say instead of 12, I purchased 7 from Ollie's for $6.35 and the other 5 for $4.99 from Big Lots. Once I've added the cost per unit, supplier, purchase date, and quantity to the replenishment modal, I click Create New Replenishment. Now I have another row with the correct accounting information. You might also find that you need to add a row when new quantities have been added to your inventory, but they weren't listed through InventoryLab. In fact, when this does happen, you will see the alert icon displayed alerting you to the fact that there is a discrepancy between what InventoryLab is showing for inventory quantities and what is showing in Seller Central. You can increase or decrease the initial quantity in a row to make sure buy costs have been assigned to all of the MSKU's available quantities, or use the Add a Replenishment function if you'd like to assign a different buy cost to those quantities. To track replenishable items using your velocity report, you first need to set up a custom view on your main inventory page. The standard view does not include lead time, so click on the vertical ellipsis to open the drop-down menu and select Add Custom View to create one. If you have already created one, the option will be Manage Custom Views. Create a view that includes lead time as one of the columns and view it. To add an MSKU to your velocity report, you'll want to add in a number of days to the lead time amount for that inventory item. Lead time is the number of days you'll need to source, process, and ship new quantities, plus the number of days Amazon will need to receive the shipment and check in all the items if it is FBA. Within 24 hours, the MSKU will be added to your velocity report, and you can start tracking the replenish by date or the date you need to start the process included in the lead time days. The replenish by date takes into account the MSKU's on-hand and inbound quantities, the average daily sales and maximum daily sales, and the lead time days you'll need. You also have the option to factor safety stock into the calculation. If you want to include safety stock in this calculation, make sure you have selected that in the top button to the left of the search bar. Safety stock is included in the days remaining calculation to protect against stockouts if you're experiencing higher than normal sales during your lead time period. The calculation is safety stock equals max daily sales minus average daily sales, and then multiply that by lead time. To learn more about the calculation used to determine the replenish by date, click How do I use this? Or select Help Center from the Resources menu and search Velocity Report.